All right, everybody. Listen, you lend us. Okay, 3, 2. All right, everyone. Use. I can do this. 3, 2. All right, everyone. You've lended us your ears. You've given us your tongues. Now we need to pull out your middle fingers and let us know how many facts do you give about this film. D, take us away.
For those that are of you that are at the 3, 2,
it's
1.
not so easy, is it, David?
For those of you,
3, 2, 1.
For those of you that it is your first time watching, I think that makes sense. 1 out of 5 1 out of 5 middle fingers we give each film. 1 being that we couldn't stand it, and 5 being that it could not have gotten better. For my review of Lean On Me, this is the beautiful David and Goliath story. It's compelling. You're watching somebody. It's like Joe versus the volcano, actually.
Did you really just compare something to the Bible? You're such a sorry atheist.
I will. It's Joe versus the volcano.
Oh no! Hey. Hey. Who? Hey, Chris. Then.
I'm just knowing that the majority of people out there understand David and Goliath is overcoming something that seems impossible, and you don't waver. Like I said earlier, I would argue that Joe never once wavers or questions himself, and it's refreshing to see a character that through a whole movie they never have a crisis of identity or a crisis of like trying to remember what they're about or what their goal is or what they're going for. He is on the same path from the beginning to end. There is no character arc for him.
When you think about it, does anybody get out of their character? Everybody's committed, because around Joe, you gotta be who you gonna be. Say it. Look at me. You can't be you know who did so. Sam showed the most range. One of the people showed some of the most range. Remember when he first saw and then he was like, "No, son, I can't go home." And then he was like, "Hey, let me get that food." And he was in the bathroom, and then, "Yo, suck on this." I mean, he was all over the place. Them pills.
Them pills. It was the crack.
Yes.
The whole movie, from beginning to end, is like an emotional roller coaster in a good way. It has you, at least it has me, on the verge of tears. Like that feeling, the frog in my throat, from the beginning to the end of the movie. And it's either heartbroken tears when her mom doesn't want her anymore, or it's happy tears when the school grades come in and he tells the mayor to fuck off. The ups and downs are perfectly laid out on the ride to take you on this smooth thing. And I will say with that, on like talking about the emotion of it, there are moments where it becomes like borderline cheesy. The music montages where he gives the thumbs up to Mr. Darnell when he breaks when the whole school breaks out into Lean On Me in a unique rendition of it.
I'm going to stop you right there. That's normal. That's not cheesy. That's normal.
Okay.
Because I've been there with stuff like that's broken out.
If the song existed prior, like in the way that they sang it, I could see that being the case where everybody knows the song.
All those kids went to church at some point and were forced to go to church. Listen, you don't have the skill or the steady hand to speak on this category.
Okay, fine. So I'll give you that. But even in that moment, while they're all singing "Lean On Me," it shows the teacher crumbling up. Like there are these moments that are, and even like the whole school out in front of the jail chanting his name, saying, "Free Mr. Clark," and they all have this like passionate speech ready to go. Like it is like I would feel kind of weird about watching this with somebody that's like that's really cool. That's too cool for school, literally.
Somebody like what? I mean,
I would be kind of like almost embarrassed to say this got me to a place of emotion because.
But it did though.
It did, and I'm saying it, but there I have to acknowledge that there is a level of cheese to it that I don't care. Once the movie starts and the story is so compelling and the performance is so good, I'm just along for the ride, cheese and all. And my last few points is that the pacing is awesome. There's never a moment where I'm looking at the clock to see how much time is left. Whether the entire story is true or not, it's compelling from the beginning to the end to watch. You want to see what happens. And like I said earlier, I would put it up there with Rain Man, as far as like being that perfect balance between raw emotion, drama, a compelling story, and then these like sprinkles of comic relief. Just not even jokes, but just the characters being who they are in these situations. I found it kind of similar, but great in the same way. So with all that said, I give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay. Okay, so I will say this. When you talk about this film, and you have to me, I've always, again, looked at film differently. I never want to be like, because I'm black, I'm watching a black film, I gotta love it, because I'm pretty sure somewhere between Woo and a lot of the shit I saw growing up, I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna be it for me. I'm gonna need a film to be a film. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a name for that for when you're looking Caucasian or white film, slapstick or something like that. Like, no, I knew what I wanted to do. Film. I didn't want to do sketches. I laughed at Saturday Night Live. I wanted to do film. And to me, I just, again, one of the first times where I said I'm not watching a black film. I am watching people do, like, the level at which the acting was displayed in this film. There are no explosions. Mm-hmm. There's one real action. Mr. Clyde, some kids beating up Kid Ray. Now, you're going to talk about cheating. Now, that was, okay, I'll give you, but listen.
They even threw the 80s.
But you don't understand.
We punch it.
Listen, but you have to understand. Let me bring you behind the veil.
I'm here for it.
Okay, well, I'm here to tell you. At least for me, for the next few years, from middle school all the way up into high school, anytime we saw somebody white get beat up, it was all like, Kid Ray got beat up. It doesn't matter what the kid's name was. He was Kid Ray, because we resonated with that. But with that being said, this film, to me, it has to check off so many factors. Number one, does it stand the test of time? Hell yeah. And like we said earlier, these punk ass kids today that go to school, there's no way they could have survived during those times. I mean, you know what that shit reminded me of? What was that? 3 o'clock high or 12 noon, when the guy had the brass knuckles and he tried to escape school earlier that day because the bully said he was going to beat his ass at 3 o'clock high or some shit like that, dude. But he had wound up getting the brass knuckles from the school, and he beat that bully's ass. That was one small step for punks and two small steps for mankind. So, point being is, when I say all of this, the acting in this, the directors and editing it himself, the time which they did it in, like you say, you are invested in this film. You're invested in the characters. There's somewhere for everybody to invest into. That parent, that single mother that's struggling, that principal that has something to prove. His friend who had it's almost like Joe Clark was the one, like, I ain't with that voting shit. And then his other friend was like, I'm the one on the school board trying to make sure you got a job to be a double agent. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see, we doing this from both sides. So they told so many storylines. You know it's difficult as a writer to invest in all these characters in under 90 minutes for the most part and pull this off. Yeah. And I'm going to say this mostly. I'm giving this film 5 for one more reason. Because you know what? They couldn't give him 5 letters. OSCAR. And that's what we call. How many get it?
What did you guys think of the movie? Put it in the comments.
Why don't you subscribe? It'll last longer.